What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode here on the G's Footage Garage. We hope you enjoyed our last video where we went racing, where we took the little e-golf there. Let's go.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh my god.
Go.
Hold on. Little grocery getter, drag racing for the heck of it. And we just had a good time hanging out with the boys, right? But today we continue the build and progression of my 1970 Chevelle, this bad boy right here. If you guys haven't been following along on the suspension series that we're doing on this car, we have a couple of videos on it. The teardown, the A-arms, the gearbox, and a couple other little stuff on there. Some paint work on the chassis and things like that. Rust protection, right, with POR 15. But today we're going to continue with the sway bar here. This is a BMR 1 1/4 sway bar. It's a heavy duty one with polyurethane bushings. Here's the bushings here. So this thing should ideally increase our body roll and help the car handle a lot better. One quick disclaimer, guys. I did jump the gun on you guys a little bit with the steering. I actually already did it, unfortunately. This is the old one. So the old steering. But it's pretty simple, guys. What we did here, what had happened was my dad kind of showed up that day, and then I didn't have any GoPros ready or anything, and he just kind of like started tinkering with the car because, you know, he likes hot rods and muscle cars. So we kind of just started working on the car. So we ended up putting the steering, all the steering of the car, but we didn't vlog anything. So, but I'll let you know. I'll give you guys a quick recap on what we did. We basically laid out the old steering linkage here. And I'll give you guys a tip here. Pretty simple, and my brother taught me this. He told me the outer little arms have the bushings, the little grease fitting on the bottom, and the inner ones have them on the side. So that's pretty much a little cheat sheet that he taught me, and he basically told me make sure that you have the same amount of thread on both sides. Right, so you kind of want to make sure that when you screw these in, you have about the same inside of this little collar. So yeah, guys, pretty much it. And yeah, this thing was pretty beat. The CPP one is a lot more heavy duty. I'll show you guys now. As you can see, it's almost rubbing on there. I still have to secure everything. I haven't secured it yet, but it does sure look beautiful, guys. It looks hella good. Looks really good. And for the alignment of the gearbox, I know a couple of you guys had mentioned that to me. So when my dad actually came over, he actually knew all about that. And what he ended up doing was we turned the steering wheel all the way to one side, and then we counted the turns, right? And I don't remember how many turns we got, but then we just divided it in half. And then basically when we were right in the middle, it was actually the center, right? It was the center, and our steering wheel was actually aligned. So basically that's how you align it, I guess. And then we simply just bolted up our steering linkages, and pretty much good to go. I'm gonna secure them right now, and then we're gonna move on to this really nice heavy duty sway bar. And I think the car should be ready to come down, and then we can look at the new stance, because remember, we put BMR lowering springs that are 1 inch lower, so it should give for a real nice stance. And we do have those springs for the rear, so we'll probably end up doing that today too, or on a future episode. We'll see, guys. But with that being said, let's get to work. But here's an inside view, guys. Look at the steering wheel. It's pretty much centered. And then if you look at the wheels, they're pretty much centered. They could probably go in a little bit, but the alignment shop can do that. Yeah. But let's get in here, guys. Let's go ahead and kind of tie everything up. We will have to loose up the suspension because I guess since we have the car in the air, we can't really tie everything up, because then the car's gonna have a lot of like preload. When it's gonna try to come down, it's gonna start squeaking and making all kind of noise. So we're gonna loosen it up, and then bring it down on the floor, or we could probably jack it up and push the suspension up and then tie it up. But I'm probably just gonna loosen it up and then bring it down on the floor and then kind of get in there and kind of squeeze in there and tie it. That's what I think I'm gonna do. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and tie this up and then put the cutter pins in there, and then we can move on to the sway bar. It's a good view for you guys. Pretty much here, all we're gonna do is gonna tie them up real nice and snug. So we're gonna make sure that we have access to that little hole so we can slide our cutter pin and make sure that our suspension doesn't get loose. That's about right there. Maybe one more. That's good right there. Let me grab a cutter pin. And guys, I had a whole bunch of cutter pins, but my boy decided to take my jar for something, and now I can't find all my little cutter pins, so I had to look through the drawers for those. That should do it. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same thing to everything else. We'll snug these bolts up here too, and we should be a-okay. So for this one here, I'm going to use my aluminum crescent wrench to try to avoid marring it. We'll see. I'm just going to snug it, guys, because basically they still have to move this. They still have to move it for when they do the alignment. But I just want to snug it. Just snug it a little bit. Alright, that's good. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now it's time to put on these little grease fittings. And these are pretty simple. You just kind of screw them in. Start them off by hand. And then you snug them. You can easily break these. So I just like to give them a little snug. That's good. All right, and then for the inner tie rods, we have these really cool angled ones, and I'll show you guys why these are important. Because it's kind of hard to get in here. So as you guys can see, when they're angled like this, you have a clean access with your grease gun. So that's pretty cool. And for this, we're just going to use a little wrench. All the bolts are secure with cutter pins. Our little inner grease fittings are positioned real neat where we can get the grease gun in there real easy. And yep, it looks pretty good, guys. It looks pretty good. What I'm gonna do now is before I forget is I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up these bolts here on both sides, and the top ones, which are these guys right here, those guys. So when we bring the car down, the suspension is not all tight in this position, and it kind of rakes up high like that. It could kind of land on its natural ride height, and then we could tie it in. So yeah, I screwed up there, guys. You live and you learn, right? So I'm gonna do a little bit of double work there, but I think it's gonna it's necessary, right? Okay, guys, so one thing to take a look at is the bolts that hold the sway bar up. The BMR sway bar didn't come with new bolts to hold up the sway bar. So let me show you guys the bolts that came on my Chevelle. This one's decent. It's a little worn there, but this one's a bit chewed up in certain areas, little chips on it. But these, look at this, guys, completely wrecked. So I cleaned them just to kind of see if I could salvage them, but nah, they're just too far gone, guys. So I went ahead and found 4 new ones, so I'm gonna have to replace the hardware. They did include 4 washers, which is cool because it's something, right? But I think they, oh no, these are for these bad boys. Never mind. Okay, so yeah, I have some washers, so no big deal. But yeah, guys, just keep in mind, always inspect your bolts. Garbage. Another thing, it says to grease up the bushings really well. Inside here, as you guys can see, on top of here, but they didn't give us any, so that sucks. I don't know if I have any bushing grease. I may. So one cool thing about the OPGI tubular A-arms is that they come with a built-in bracket here for this style adjustable sway bar end link. Pretty neat, guys. Really cool. So definitely gives it a more of a high performance look, and a more I guess you can adjust like the tension on this thing, so that's gonna be pretty cool. So let me try to lift this up without looking like a fool, because this thing is pretty heavy, guys. It's a big boy. By myself today. Well, not really. The Bam Bam is inside. Got the kids over. My kids have their little friends over, so they're playing. Alright, that's pretty neat. Okay, so basically you don't use these anymore. You have to go with these. Well, they come with the lower A-arms, which is pretty neat. Alright. How should I face these? I'm gonna face these back. I'm still gonna grease these up again, guys, so don't freak out. And I'm gonna put a little bit of thread locker on the bolts here, just to make sure that they don't come loose on me. Actually, guys, I guess that washer's fine. I would feel better with the bigger washer, but that's okay, I guess. I don't think I have any bigger ones. So. OMG, guys, that looks bad ass. I'm not even gonna lie, guys. Look at that thing, man. I gotta wipe it down. I know there's a lot of grease everywhere, but I just really wanted to make sure I greased it up really good, because I didn't want the thing to start squeaking. So yeah, that's why I kind of went super crazy with the grease. But OMG, guys, I love it. Look at this thing. Wow, looks hella cool. Once I take it to the alignment shop, they'll get this thing, you know, dialed in real nice, and then we'll come back and we'll do a couple of little finishing touches, maybe some paint work here and there, and it should be really gorgeous down here. But it looks really cool compared to what this thing rolled into. How this thing rolled into the garage, man, we sure done a number, guys. So look at that thing. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm in love with it. The BMR 1-inch lowering springs look amazing, look fantastic on this thing. Now it's slightly lower in the front than it is in the rear. Gives it that real cool modern muscle car look. I'm in love with it. We got the alignment pretty close, I gotta say, enough to get us to the alignment shop. That one's a little bit more towed out, but no big deal. I'll do a quick little adjustment on it and I should be able to get it to alignment shop. But I'm in love with it, guys. The 1-inch lowering springs in the front really made this car look a lot more aggressive. It looks beautiful. The sway bar in the front, it looks so cool because it's massive. Check that out, guys. One thing though I did notice is that the header is real low, so hopefully that doesn't give us any issues. Worst case scenario, I already thought about this because I know that even before I put the 1-inch lowering springs, that was occasionally hitting. I might just have my buddy KP Fab do me a custom header, because he does like headers and all that stuff. Worst case scenario, if it starts hitting everywhere. But I love it. I don't even know if I should put the rear drop springs, because I have the 1-inch lowering springs for, well, all around. But I kind of just want to leave the front and don't put anything in the back. Sheesh, because it looks really good with the huge fat tire. Look at little skinnies in the front. See, I have a little skinny in the front and it has a big old fat boy in the back. Oh my goodness, I love this thing. It's coming along really well. We have the old school flavor to it, you know, the very nostalgic vintage style valve covers, but yet we restored everything, right? And we modernized it. We got the Holley Sniper EFI, better suspension, you know, better cooling, all that good stuff. So this thing is definitely coming around. Yeah, it's pretty cool, guys. I'm very happy with it. It's coming around. It's really looking really good. It's really looking like a G's footage unique build, right? Very it's building character, like Boogeyman. You know, I like to make my cars have character, and this thing's getting some pretty good character. It's looking good. I don't really want to LS swap it, but my brother's really twisting my arm on it. If I could get this big block, or a real nice big block, stay cool, run good, be reliable, I mean, especially with the Sniper EFI, I would rather just keep it big block, just because it's, I mean, it's a 70 Chevelle, you know. But it's looking real good, guys. One thing we did forget, guys, is to paint the calipers, so we'll just have to do that later, maybe once we get it back from the alignment shop. But wow, guys, looks like I fell in love with this thing all over again. The stance just really made the car. steering fluid. Oh my goodness, guys. Taking it for just a quick little around the block trip, and man, the steering is so nice, guys. It's like oh, I feel like I'm driving a brand new car. It's nice and tight, very responsive. The car needs alignment, I'm not gonna lie about that, guys, but sheesh. Oh, I used to hate the sloppy steering. Now, I mean, this thing is so tight. It feels so good, guys. This is starting to be a really cool ride, guys. Wow, guys, I'm very pleased. I can't wait to take this thing to get aligned. Oh my goodness. Wow.